Hello everyone, welcome to the Soul Pillar channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a shift from the other videos that I've made over the last, era of my life. And I want to talk about long-term healing from extreme amounts of trauma and pain. It's something that I've been doing a lot of recently in my life. It's something that's very necessary for me, given the stuff that I've been through in my own life. And I don't think that it's important to go into the details of it, honestly. At this point, I think that it's just a positive thing to share where you're at on your journey with other people that are walking the same road, and adding to good voices that are out there in the world, because this life is very hard, it's very difficult on us. And there's a lot that can be stuffed into a very short period of years. And a lot of times, if you're a young person who's been through a heck of a lot, you just feel like more has been packed into your experience of life than maybe you were ready or prepared for. And that is something that I feel like in my own journey. So it's like I've been through so many crazy things so quickly that my entire being just feels stuffed with too much stuff. Just so much trauma. There's so much pain. There's so much loss. There's so much chaos going on in terms of what has happened. And that's a spot that I found myself in quite a lot in life, where it's just too much going on. There's just too much going on. It's like I got to figure out what I got to do moving forward in my life. I got to figure out how to process all this trauma so that I can be available for the people around me. And sometimes it just feels like it's too much, man. And a lot of times it gets to me where I'm like, man, this is just too much. Like, how am I actually going to get through this? And recently, I've started to be honest with people about that. Like, I've started to be real with people about that. Like, man, I'm really not going through a good time right now. Man, this is really hard. This is really not fun. And I've just felt like this weight lifting off of me, and I feel strong because I'm actually being honest and real that what I'm going through is very difficult. And there's so much power in being honest and real about the fact that what you're going through is difficult. I've known quite a few people in my life, a lot of people in my life, that have been through some serious stuff when they're young, and serious stuff in their young years. And I'm still young. I'm about to be 25 years old. And you find that it's the recognition of that. Like, I'm a young person, but I've been through a lot, that allows those people to actually move forward in life and be happy. Because it's very difficult when you are young and you've been through a lot of stuff, and you look around at other people who have not been through it. You never wish it on them. You never want them to have to go through it. But it's hard because you look at what they can do, because they don't have the baggage on them that somebody that has been put through the ringer, put through the laundry machine at a young age has been through. And it can be very difficult to see that and to want to keep moving forward, because you just go, man, I have so much stuff that I have to get right. I'm so far behind. I'm so messed up and screwed up inside, and I have all this stuff I got to work through, that you can just drown and stay in the same place for so long. And that's something that, man, I've dealt with that a lot in my life. I've dealt with that so much in my life, and it's something that it's just about sharing it. It's just about being honest about it. It's not even about providing a solution, because I've stopped being somebody who tries to look for solutions to this stuff, and it rather to find the wisdom and the honesty of it. Because when you're able to sit with yourself and just admit, man, this sucked. Man, this was not fun. Man, this was dark. This was a really rough time for me. And you just face it. You're gonna be gaining so much ground on yourself if you're able to do this. I found that it's the most truthful thing, that if you're able to just stare at yourself blankly in the mirror, so to speak, whatever mirror you're using to look at where you're at, and not put a commentary on the stuff that's inside you, and rather just look at it and just view it, you're going to make the most amount of progress on it. And then following that, it's about sharing it. So if you've been through a rough time, if you're going through a rough spot in life and you have to do that deep healing, where that you're going to be carrying a lot of these wounds and scars for a very long period of time, most powerful thing that you can do is stare at it, look at it, realize it, know it, and don't try to put a commentary on it. Don't try and find some way that it's nicer than it is. Because if you do that, then you're not actually going to be able to get stronger by it. So I'm somebody who's spent a lot of time in the gym in my days. And the gym is something that I'm always going to do. I'm always going to keep it in my life because there's so many profound lessons, life lessons that you get from the gym. And you're not winning any battles. You're not getting any better by pretending that the weight is lighter than it is or pretending that the weight is heavier than it is. So when it comes to healing from trauma, when it comes to healing from deep pains that you experience in life, you're not making it any easier on yourself. You're not getting any stronger, any better by pretending that the weight is not as heavy as it is. Maybe it is an extremely heavy weight. Maybe you're looking at something where you go, man, because I went through this and because of the work I got to do on myself, because I went through this, I'm not going to be able to live this life that maybe I wanted to live. Maybe I just don't have the energy for that anymore. Maybe I am overwhelmed by all the stuff that I have to personally do to keep myself together. Because I look at myself, my own life circumstances with what I've been through in my life. Like I said, it's not important. My story specifics aren't important. This message. It's that sometimes I'm literally tempted to crack, to break down, because I look at who I used to want to be versus who I have to be now because of the circumstances that I am in, because of the stuff that I've been through, where I have to put myself together back again every single day in order to be there for the people that actually need me. And then sometimes you're still failing at it. Sometimes you're still not doing the best at it. And that can crush you. So it's like, man, I can't even be the person that I used to want to be because now I have all this pain on me. And I have to do all this hard work in order just to be slightly available for the people that need me. And sometimes I still don't even live up to it. Sometimes I still fail. That can drown you. That can be really hard. And the last thing that you want to do is try to hide. The last thing you want to do is to try to run away from the fact that that's an extremely hard thing to go through. I stopped doing that recently. I started skyrocketing in terms of my development as a person by stopping the necessity of having to pretend that it's not as hard as it actually is, because it is. Because it is extremely difficult, extremely hard. And when you're able to admit this, when you're able to be honest about this, you get the strongest from it. You know, if you are about to run into battle and you run in not trying to pretend that you're not pretending that you're not afraid, that's when you're the bravest. So if you have a lot of stuff in here, and we can really pack on a lot of stuff in here, and in here, when you start to open it up in that iterative fashion, and you're just honest with yourself about what's actually in there, most amount of progress is going to be made in the quickest period of time. And these are things that I'm excited to share on this channel, because I've reached a certain point in my own journey where I want to start, sharing with others, who are on the same wavelength, who are on this same journey, what it's like to have a whole bunch of baggage put on you at a young age. And you have to go through a very hard process to just, kind of unravel yourself every single day to just be available. It's like, it's a very particular experience to go through. It's a very rough experience to go through. And I'm hoping that I'm throwing out a fishing line into the internet sea where I can pull back some people that are also going through the same thing, because you're going to find that sharing this type of stuff is going to be some of the most, profound, good stuff that you're going to see. People that are able to share these things with the world are going to do so much good by doing that, because people are going to realize they're not alone. And I just want to share that message that if you're in that spot where you have a whole bunch of stuff on you, that you're doing the right thing and you're chewing through it every day, you're working through it every day so that you can be the person that you need to be every day for the people that are around you, and you're still failing, that you're not alone. If you're like, you're clawing for these wins every single day and you're still falling short, even though you're trying your hardest, you're not alone. Yeah, I'm going through the same thing too. It's like, when you are so beaten up inside and you're so tired and you're so traumatized and there's just so much you have to work through, and yet you have all these people around you that need you, and you're doing everything that you can and you're still not making it, that's a hard thing to go through. That's a hard thing to face. And the last thing you want to do is not be honest about it to yourself. A lot of times we have to appear very strong to people around us. And sometimes we fail at that too. It's another thing where it's like, you're trying to appear strong. You're trying to appear extremely strong. And people still are like, man, he can't keep it together. And inside you're like, bro, I'm trying everything that I can to be as strong as possible in this situation. These are things where honesty is some of the most potent. It's the most potent elixir when it comes to just you and yourself, about being honest about this sort of stuff. It's so powerful, man. It's so powerful when you can look at yourself. I don't care how old you are. and I don't care what the specifics of your journey are, and I don't care how it is that you're personally deciding to chew through this stuff. Being honest about the fact that you're going through that rough time is very important, because if you're vibing with my wavelength here, if you are understanding what kind of a message that I'm outputting here in this video, you will understand what I mean by the fact that it's like you have all this. You have a person that I knew that I met with when I talked to about this type of stuff referred to it as a suitcase. You got a big suitcase full of stuff, and you need to make sure that that suitcase is organized and understood and unpacked and everything like that, so that you can travel properly. And you spent all of your time, as much time as possible, packing it properly, and then in the airplane cargo hold, it explodes out everywhere. And so when you arrive at your location, you got to put it back in again. Even though you know that you tried your hardest to pack it properly, and you keep going through that over and over and over and over and over again, I just want you to know you're not alone. There's no amount of times I could repeat this message where it wouldn't be a message that would be worth putting out there. It's just, you're not alone. You're not alone. It's so important to know that you're not alone, and that, yeah, we can reach some really dark hours. As I've gotten older, as I've aged and going on this particular journey, you really start to realize that the peak points, whatever peak you got to, that's not the highest it can get. You don't know. And the low points that you've experienced, it can get lower, and you don't know. You don't know that yet. I look back at what I used to think was a low point many, many years ago, and then I experienced some new low points recently, and I was like, now this is a low point. Now this is a rough phase, a rough patch to be going through in this journey on this earth. And I'm honest about that now. So I know going forward that I'm like, man, you can put in the most amount of effort. You can be doing everything that you need to do behind the scenes to keep yourself put together after your trauma and after the pain and everything like that. And you can still screw it up. And then more stuff comes on you. And it's just like, why? And this is where faith comes in. Faith is so important when you're going through this. And I think that, just have faith in God, have faith in Christ, that you're going through this for a reason, and that you are oriented properly in this journey, that when you go through stuff like this and you're in a journey like this, that all things go to His benefit and His glory when you're able to actually just face it forthrightly, take ownership of it, and go forth on it. And I think that that's really the message that I want to impart and get across on this channel is, I've been through a lot of just pain for no reason, loneliness, darkness, internally speaking. And I think that, I would love it more than anything else if I could share just one little bit of positivity to people out there in the world that are going through that you're not alone, and that Christ can help you, and He'll see you through it. And He's always faithful in these situations. And maybe it's hard for you to accept that, whoever it is that's watching this video, hard to accept that He's out there just for you, and he has a message just for you that is specific just for you. And one of the things that I experienced when I came to faith in Christ after a lot of the stuff that went down that has made me this way is that He shows you the most loving version of yourself. So if you go to God, you're going to get honesty, you're going to get truth. And you think that a lot of times when we get into dark situations, you think that that's going to be something that's going to be very scary, and it is. But actually what's scary about it is that He's going to show you the loving truth of who you are. And obviously the loving truth is not always the nice truth. A lot of times it's not nice, but it is loving. And so when you have been through rough time and you're getting out of being in a rough time, a lot of times we can look around and start thinking about our own perspective of ourselves, or what other people think of us. But what Jesus Christ is going to show you is that He's going to show you the most loving perspective from His eye view. That doesn't matter what all these other noises and voices are thinking. He's going to show you the most loving version of yourself. And that's oftentimes all that you need. The biggest takeaway from this video is that if you get lost, if you're stuck in a dark place, and you're doing everything that you can to put yourself back together every day for the people around you, and you're still messing up, that the best thing that you can do is pray to God, pray to Jesus, and let Him show you the loving version of yourself that shows you the full picture. Even if you're failing for others, you're messing up and you're screwing up, that God knows the truth and he knows your story and he knows who you are, and that is probably all that you need to be able to make it through that phase. God bless. Jesus loves you. Daniel, Soul Pillar.